What's up, Jolimator Club? Alright, so once again, this is a Marvel review, so I got my Marvel poster behind me, and today I am kicking off my much anticipated, and by much anticipated, I mean much anticipated by me, because I've been waiting to do this for a while. I'm kicking off my Spider-Man reviews, starting today off with the original Spider-Man film, came out in 2002. Now, when this movie first came out, I just want to give a brief backstory before I talk about this movie. When this movie first came out, I was not watching PG-13 superhero films. When it first came out, I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. But it wasn't really until 3 years later, in 2005, when I saw that it was on TV, and I was like, oh, I want to watch it. But unfortunately, I missed it, so my mom and I rented it from Blockbuster. Those of you who remember Blockbuster, thank you. You guys are awesome. And when I first watched it, I immediately fell in love. Now, if you guys know anything about me, I've told you this before, but I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I grew up loving Spider-Man. And just disclaimer, need to mention this review will contain spoilers. If you have not seen this movie, you've been warned. But anyway, I lived and breathed Spider-Man when I was a kid. I've read the comics, I've watched the 90s cartoon, I've watched one episode of the 80s cartoon, and basically, you name it, if it was Spider-Man in my day, I was a part of it. Mostly. So Spider-Man was always a big thing for me growing up as a kid. So when I first watched this movie, I wanted to see what it was. And I do think that this movie was right for my time. When I watched it for the first time, keep in mind I was 8 years old, getting ready to turn 9. So I didn't really know too much about the whole Marvel universe, and so this was really my introduction to it, and so it's pretty interesting. That's just a little fact for you guys. And even if you guys have never read the Spider-Man comics or you don't know that much about Marvel, which I'm sure I have a lot of viewers who know some stuff about Marvel, but even if you've never seen this movie or read the comics, it does explain in the film how he becomes Spider-Man, but I don't need to go into that because odds are you already know Spider-Man at this point. Now, one thing that I wanted to do for this review was really look at how Sam Raimi did this movie, and I was really impressed with what he did. Something that I noticed is that this movie is absolutely fun. Now, yes, it is cheesy, and at times even a bit goofy, but at the same time, you know, not everything has to be dark and gritty. Alright, so I don't really need to go into the story too much because you guys, odds are, have seen this movie or you know who Spider-Man is as a character. But I do need to address that the casting in this movie is, for the most part, excellent. As far as I'm concerned, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker is one of, if not the best Peter Parker we've ever gotten. He's a really good choice for the character. Now, of course, when it comes to the portrayal of both, I prefer Tom Holland, but Tobey Maguire did an absolutely incredible job as Peter Parker. As Spider-Man, he was good, yeah, but I think he nailed Peter Parker more than Spider-Man. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't good as Spider-Man, but still, he was good. He captured the shy sort of quirkiness of the character, and that really sort of brought the character to life, and I really like that. As far as the other casting in this movie, Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is one of the best casting choices ever for a villain. And if you watch the behind-the-scenes making of this movie, which I have, Willem Dafoe lobbied for this role. Sam Raimi wasn't going to cast him initially. He said that, Willem Dafoe just lobbied to play the Green Goblin, not because he knew it would make him more famous. I mean, the guy was already in movies like Platoon and whatnot. He didn't need more fame. So, but nonetheless, he did an absolutely incredible job as Norman Osborn, as the Green Goblin. He was great. Now, the one actor in this movie that I feel is okay at times, but also a little bit weird in some other parts, is Kirsten Dunst. Now, I don't have anything against Kirsten Dunst. I like her as an actress, but her performance as Mary Jane Watson just did not seem like a spot-on representation of Mary Jane, in my opinion. Now, of course, I realize that this is a certain take on the character, and it's a different story, and the character from the comics is different and stuff. But there are moments when she, like when she's happy, and she does seem like the fun girl that Mary Jane is, and those scenes are really good. But aside from that, Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane, she's okay, she's passable. again, this is my opinion, guys. Please don't hate. James Franco as Harry Osborn is very, very well cast, and he did an absolutely amazing job. One thing that I really like is that this version of Harry, he has some jealousy in regards to Peter, because Norman in this movie seems to prefer Peter more because he can do things that Harry can't do, and because he's smart. Norman is treating Peter like the son that he never had, and so that was very interesting, and James Franco did a great job. Now, Rosemary Harris as Aunt May and Cliff Robertson as Uncle Ben, absolutely phenomenal performances by these two actors. Cliff Robertson, oh my gosh, he nailed the "with great power comes great responsibility" scene. It was just unbelievable. When I watched it as a kid, I was like, wow, that's really good. And as I grew up, I've loved it even more. Cliff Robertson, absolutely incredible job. Rest in peace, bro. Now, again, still on the casting, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is maybe one of the best casting choices of all time. He is just hysterical and amazing in every second of film that he is in. No jobs? Freelance. Best thing in the world for a kid your age. Bring me some more shots of that newspaper selling clown, maybe I'll take them off your hands. But I never said you have a job. Meet. I'll send you a nice box of Christmas meat. Best I can do. Get out of here. Bring me more photos. That's my impression of him. Now, one of the major complaints with this movie is that Spider-Man wasn't quippy enough. He didn't make enough jokes. I personally think it's a good balance. But there are some jokes here and there, but they don't override the story. And I personally like that Spider-Man has organic web shooters because, for one thing, it makes sense. This kid is a dirt poor high schooler. He has no money, doesn't have a job. It makes sense. And at the same time, if he gets all the abilities of a spider, why shouldn't he be able to spin webs? So it's really not that big of a deal that he doesn't have the web shooters that he makes in the comics. I understand that the Amazing Spider-Man films did that, but I'll get to that when I get to that. Now, the action in this movie, I do need to mention, this action is absolutely incredible. It's really fun. It's just unbelievably fun. It holds up years later, still after this movie first came out. Now, what was I getting ready to say? Yeah, I do remember that. I'm miswording my words here, guys. One thing that people say a lot about this movie is that the Green Goblin looks too much like a Power Ranger. Okay, here's the thing, guys. That's just the way the internet works. You know, it's just, somebody hears it, somebody hears somebody say it, and then they say it, and it just turns into a thing. Granted, it is a silly-looking suit, yeah, but nonetheless, if the character's portrayed well, then I personally don't mind it. And finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the climax of the film. Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin, it's kind of scary, honestly. The Goblin is just beating the crap out of him, and he's bleeding from his mouth. It's brutal, guys. And these are not CGI people. They're real actors getting thrown into walls. Obviously, they're prop walls, yes. But still, the action in this movie and the climax, absolutely crazy. It's brutal. But nonetheless, guys, if you haven't guessed already, Spider-Man is an absolutely incredible movie. I love it. I love it. I still love it to this day. I cannot express in words how much I love this movie. Despite its few flaws, I'm going to say Spider-Man is a movie that is so nice, it is definitely worth seeing thrice. Okay, guys, so post your comments below. I'm not going to ask you what you think of Spider-Man because odds are you guys have seen it by now. I will ask you this. What is your favorite version of Spider-Man as a character? Now, it can be Spider-Man from a movie, from a cartoon series, comics, whatever. Post your comments below, and as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and if you like this, like, comment, favorite, hit that subscribe button, and join the Jolinator Club. Chest bump.